This content is brought to you in part by Supreme Auctions, the only luxury auction company recommended by the Institute. Supreme Auctions is widely recognized as the first auction company to design a program to work alongside and in partnership with luxury real estate professionals and their clients. Go to supremeauctions.com to learn more. Welcome back, David.
Thank you.
We had such a great time when we were talking about the use of a market report and a luxury market report. Now we're going to talk about the strategy that you use to help agents once they've sold a property or listed their first, next price point home.
Gotcha.
Right? What do you talk to them about? How do you leverage that? How do you convert that into more and more business?
So most of the time, our clients get that first listing as a result of the market report. And so the market report says, I do a great job marketing your community. And literally, I don't sleep well. In the middle of the night, one night, I went, wait a second. What is their real concern? Like what's their deepest concern, the homeowner? And that is that you'll do a great job marketing their home. So what I realized is the market report was trying to lead these homeowners into the perception that the agent would be a good marketer. And I said, wait a second, I have a way to circumvent that. And then so we immediately started when an agent took, like a Chris Anderson, took a luxury listing in Sedona, rather than mailing the market report out that month, we would mail a property brochure. An agent that has the budget to do both, okay. But if not, we totally understand. One of my best agents I've had she was with me when I was originally in Florida, and then when I started again is Dawn Schwartz, single mom, 2 kids. And she literally takes 8 listings a year in a small country club community, about 400 homes. She mails 8 property brochures a year, and quarterly she mails the market report. So the property brochure demonstrates what's in it for me as a homeowner. And it is your opportunity to differentiate yourself between you and the competitor. It's why I always try and say when a client works with us is that what type of brochures do your competitors do? And let's do something a little bit different. I think that I just want to dispel some myths here.
Please.
And that is that agents will can I mail it more than once? Can I do a just listed postcard and a property brochure? Or can I keep running that property in my market report, which is a great thing to do as well? And the answer is yes. And I want to dispel this myth. Agents feel that if they market a property more than once, that the general public's perception is that they can't sell it. The truth of the matter is, when you see somebody really diligent and voracious about anything, you think, my God, look at how much effort they're putting into trying to sell this house. Mm-hmm. So the perception is completely backwards. I think that we're agents, I just want to point out a couple of things where agents may fall short on doing this themselves. And that is, and this is true with any mailer. It could be a postcard, a property brochure. If we're mailing this property brochure, what most people don't understand about direct mail is that all your mail comes address up. So that means I want you to visualize, you get home tonight, you're going to see a bunch of envelopes address up. You'll see some printed materials that are addressed to you that may be marketing materials or postcards. And those are typically the back of the postcard. Almost every graphic designer I know in history spends all of their time on the front of the postcard or the property brochure and really kind of just ignores the back, thinking it's the address side. And that, in our opinion, that is the impact side. You absolutely have to have a beautiful color photo on that side. So that's a typical mistake. A couple of other things that you'll see that from maybe the template-driven sites or even an agent, graphic designer. Most people don't know that a photograph reads left to right, right to left, and dead center. So if a photograph, if you look at a photograph and it kind of takes your eye from the right side to the left, where does it go on a brochure? It has to go on the right side. And so many times, you've seen me do this in your seminars, right? I'll take up a brochure and very experienced agents, I'm like, that photo's on the wrong side of the page. A couple other good tips for them is that whenever you'll see these night shots or shots of a room and it looks yellow.
Okay.
I was shot more than 50,000 photographs in my career. Wow. So those are incandescent lights, which your eye automatically white balances and you never see it. So when you see yellow in a photograph, it literally changes the color of the walls, the ceiling, the lights themselves. So few agents or photographers actually know it's the simplest thing in the world, Diane. You hit yellow, you hit saturation, yellow, and take half of it out.
Wow.
And it knocks all the yellow out. And then because the homeowner is going to look at their yellow or their blue wall that you have a yellow light on it, and now it looks green. Right. And in luxury, you don't want that wrong. Right. And so it's pretty important.
Well, and you know, we teach this. We teach all about how important really good photography is. And you know, how do you use it and who do you hire? So, all right. Thing. So kind of back to this idea of leverage, because I can just say this, the reason why we really wanted to work with you was first and foremost, it's very difficult locally to find people as talented as you.
Thank you.
You need to go national.
Right.
Right? Someone that has a national, and in your case, you're all of North America.
Right? International.
Up to Canada, yeah. And so what I listen for with you is okay, how is David going to help us teach? Okay. And this idea and the question that we get all the time is, I've gotten a listing.
Yep.
Now what?
Okay. And
we talked a bit about using the property brochure in lieu of or in to work with.
In conjunction with,
the market report. But this idea that now I have this listing, how do I leverage that? How do I get more appointments? And what do I bring? And what do I show? And kind of talk about that.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that, because you brought me back to something that I think I failed to mention in session one, and the most common call. So let's remember that question, and that's leveraging that. But I want to address this other issue. And I know your team gets this call. As you know, we work with all the major brands in the luxury divisions. Yep. And it's the number one call Ann gets, Craig gets, like Lisa gets, without disclosing brands. And that is, an agent is getting, they'll call you, they call me, they call their supervisors and go, I have a listing appointment on Thursday and I have no luxury marketing materials. Right. And so it's the cart before the horse. So one of the things we developed years ago was a marketing package, is really just a sample of just a handful of really nice brochures, like 3 or 4 brochures, a couple of postcards, a personal sphere piece. So when they walk into that luxury listing, it's there and they just lay it on the table, right? And it's unique, right? And it's all branded to them. I believe it's $395. Yep. But if you, and I'm not here to sell anything because it's not my MO. But if you're going to work this market and you anticipate, and I'm going to take your course and I anticipate getting a luxury listing, I had better be ready with luxury marketing materials when I walk through the door. And most agents are going to wait. Right? Until they get the listing and then scramble.
Or until they get the appointment, right?
And they're going to, but the problem is, Diane, 90% of the time, they're going to lose to someone who's better prepared. And so getting that opportunity for that one luxury listing, we're going to go back to how we leverage those. Yeah. How do we get that one luxury listing and leverage it? Well, you had better be prepared when you walked into that appointment the first time. Because you get one, they're far and few between. Now let's say you got one. Now I'm going to tell you a true story. So in my career, I spent most of it single. I was a single dad of a very young child, 18-month-old, and I just chose to be single. And I dated one agent in my whole career.
We're gonna cut that.
We're gonna cut that. Maybe not. No, she was a sweetheart, and she was obviously in my market, and everybody in my market knows what I do for a living.
Right.
So talk about being on the spot. I mean, I had to make her like the bomb on luxury listings. I said, what would be the toughest market I could actually choose? And I said, oceanfront in San Diego, right? I mean, that's the creme de la creme, right? And it literally spans 6 cities. It goes all the way from Del Mar to Camp Pendleton. So the title of that, we talked about a school district as a possible title of a market report. We talked about a neighborhood. It could be a gated community. This one was called Oceanfront. And it literally just featured all the homes on the oceanfront, not across the street. And the people across the street didn't get that brochure. So we started marketing it up and down the ocean.
Really smart.
She got a listing appointment for 2 houses that had been in foreclosure. These guys bought it, and they were worth about $2.5 million a piece. They were like twin properties, and they wanted $5 million each. And she went on this appointment and didn't take me, and she came back and said they wanted $5 million, and I told them that no way in God's little green earth. And I said, as long as I'm paying for the marketing, you're taking the listings. Because what we did was we took these incredibly overpriced luxury listings and we marketed the heck out of it. We made brochures on each one, and we mailed it up and down the ocean. Then we mailed another one on the other one. Then we did a brochure of the 2 of them combined, because you could put a walkway between them. Right? So we just inundated the homeowners with these beautiful luxury marketing brochures. She took the next 4 listings on the ocean. That was it. Market report, but she leveraged it. A lot of times agents wait too long, and I understand why, because you've asked a couple times now about sold. Like, how do you leverage a sold? Once it's sold, the game's over, guys.
No.
It's gone. Right? You can do the last hurrah and sold.
Yeah.
Right? And don't start talking about yourself then either.
Right.
That's a huge mistake. But, you can stay sold. But I think that where we missed the boat, and I understand this so much, is we get into this business, Diane, and perhaps we don't have a big budget. And we're young, and we get a listing, and one of our friends lists with us, and then Aunt Susie lists with us, and then Joey down the street lists with us. And now we've had 3 listings in our first year. We've made $100,000, and we've spent absolutely 0 money on marketing. Right. And now we're trained. We're self-trained. The industry is a disaster in this way. The challenge with this is that it's not sustainable. And $100,000, once you start making 100, you want 200. Well, this is just unsustainable. So we have such an adversity to spending money. So back to this listing that this agent that I dated took, what she did, and it was my money, but I could see her saying, I'm not spending my good money marketing that listing that isn't going to sell, because she couldn't see the forest for the trees. I have my career, thousands of clients. I have 23 years. I've done hundreds and hundreds of seminars. I've never said one word out of my mouth how to sell a listing. I have no desire to teach you how to get a buyer and put them in your cart. 0. My whole gig is more listings, more listings, more listings, because listings will get you buyers. And eventually the property will sell. We know. You put it in MLS, do a great job marketing it. One last point on the brochure.
It's great.
Night shot homes get shown 3 times greater than non-night shot. So in MLS, if your opening photo is a night shot versus a non-night shot, that property will get shown 3 times more than a night shot. It's an incredible tip. And on the brochure, on the back, the impact side, night shot.
Night shot.
Yeah, so night shots are good.
The back, the impact side.
The impact side, yeah.
So this is great. I mean, we have to unpack that, because you just said a lot.
Yeah.
And you talk fast because you're from New Jersey.
Hey.
So I had to call that out, because everybody, super funny. So I want to unpack that, David. You gave a lot of really terrific advice in about a 2-minute stretch. So let's go back to this. So you're basically saying, as gently and nicely as you can, that when you begin to make some money, budget, right? Put in your budget, no matter what the market is doing. Right. Is the market up? Is the market down? It doesn't matter. Put the money in the budget, right?
I am, and I teach this when I have a longer. Usually, my seminars are an hour, but if I have 3 hours, I teach this, and it's really quite simple. You have to have a budget. You have to have money that you've spent. I don't care how you got it, but let's say you had $5,000 that you invested in your career, $7,000 invested in your career, which is an incredibly low amount of money for a business. Yeah. But let's say that's the number. It's $7,000, and you get a listing, and it sells. I teach all of my agents, you need a separate checking account that says real estate marketing. Your bank will give it to you for free, right? So most of them anyway. And you have $7,000 in there, and you start spending it, doing market reports, you're doing property brochures, you got a listing. The listing sells, and you just got a $21,000 check. What's the first thing you do with the $21,000? Is refinance your budget. Most agents are going to go out and buy a new BMW. I see it every day. And then all of a sudden the market turns or starts to slow. And now they're out of money, and they have no more money to continue to market.
Is it a percentage that you recommend? Like in a perfect world, David.
Yep.
Right. we're getting a sense here, which I think is really helpful, is we're getting a sense of what it really costs to do this right. So kind of unpacking
I'll unpack it
oceanfront.
for you.
Yeah.
I'll unpack because and everybody wants this number from me and I never give it.
I know. And
But
and
I'm
I
going
don't
to give it to you.
yeah.
I'm going to give it to you because I do have I tell you what, I have a number that when I'm working with Alan in Denver and it's a big organization. And we're looking at actually sponsoring agents for the market report based on their previous 3 years of sales.
Okay.
Here's the magic number that we won't even talk to an agent unless they've done 4 million in sales.
Okay.
So 4 million, and they have to have done it for 3 years in a row. And so let's say they've done 4 million. We pretty much calculate that it's going to be somewhere at 4 million, it'll be somewhere around 12%.
Okay.
Right? Because you only had 4 million.
Yeah.
I did an agent, number 10 agent in all of Los Angeles, Stephanie. I won't divulge her last name. We do marketing for her. She did 250 million in sales.
Yeah. Wow. That's a big number.
It's a big number. Her percentage is about 2%.
Sure.
Right? Because, and that's she's going to market almost a little over 20,000 homes monthly, twice a month. She's going to do the market report and do the property brochure. We figured out that at her price point, we did the math that it'll take 13.5 listings to pay for 20,000 homes getting hit twice a month for an entire year. And she did, 85 deals last year. So I've got to produce another 13, but watch what this did. That 13 covered all of her marketing. Before she started working with us, she was paying for marketing. I'm going to show her and demonstrate to her that, and she's going to get a lot more than 13 listings out of that. So again,
that's great.
Yeah, 4 million, 12%, and then as you start to generate. Now, let's say you're at 4 million and you're at 12%, and you go to 8 million. And so now your income is at 200,000, but you want to make 400. Keep doing the 12%.
Right.
Because you got to go back to what got you the first 200,000. You can't cut it. You can't go from 12% to 200 if you want to double your business. So Stephanie in Los Angeles is not. As a matter of fact, she's going from about a $200,000 budget to about a $450,000 budget. But this is something that your audience doesn't. Some of it's hard to even perceive. They don't make that much money. Never mind spend that much money. But it's amazing once these agents really start to understand. And Stephanie's been in the business 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
She finally gets that, oh my gosh, for every dollar, and she looks at her manager, Jeff, who's a brilliant guy, brilliant businessman, and she looks at him, she goes, every time we spend $1 with David, we get 7 back.
Right.
Go get me some more dollars. And that's all she's looking for.
That's great. That is fantastic for people to be able to recognize, right?
Yep.
If I said to you, David, here's $1 and you give me 7, I'm going to be giving you $1 for a long, long time.
You're going to look for more dollars. But here's where most agents will go wrong. You're going to give me $1, and all of the dollars that you've earned in the past cost you nothing. You're going to have to give me that $1 for a year. And the truth of the matter is not a year. It's 8.4 times. And I'll give you a great analogy to this. If I ask you to go to the store to get me something to clean my ears, what do you get?
Q-tips.
What color is the box?
Blue.
You think they're changing the color anytime soon?
No.
And by the way, you didn't get me a Q-tip. You got me a cotton swab. That's how well they branded Q-tip. That you actually taking a product. It's like calling all cars Mercedes, right? You're taking all cotton swabs and calling them Q-tips.
Right.
It took 8.4 contacts, or for them impressions, for you to give me that answer like that. Here's the trick: the contacts or the impressions had to be within a 30-day period, right? So this is where you're going to get. I always fall into this place right now with social media. That's an impression. Right? So agents think that they're going to market on social media. That's an impression. But if you're marketing to a specific neighborhood, which we know is the most effective way to market in this industry, how many people in that neighborhood are seeing your social media? And a lot of people overall will see your marketing.
Yep.
But as far as that actual neighborhood, and Facebook unfortunately has changed some of their algorithms. There's some really good companies out there that I know of that are brilliant and can work around it, but I don't think that those companies are so good and so expensive that I think it's out of most agents' budgets.
I want to go back to this idea that you talked about, which is a little bit counterintuitive, right? that you market the actual listing versus marketing when it's sold.
Correct.
Where'd
Very counterintuitive.
that come from? Where'd that come from?
Premier Estate Properties in Florida. I mean, we watched them. We all thought that they were crazy. They were spending, at the time, 1,000 brochures. Nobody mailed property. What are they thinking? They're losing it, right? They're going to try and buy the market and go broke. And we all sat there and watched them for 8 years steal the market from everybody.
So they bought it, right?
They bought the market.
Very smart.
Which in this, and you and I have had this conversation before. You want to break into the luxury, there's some ways that we can systematically help you get there. If you think it's going to happen overnight, don't call me.
Right.
Don't call you.
Right.
It's a process, and there are no get-rich-quick schemes. We've all been to convention way too many times, and too many people say, buy this, sell one house, and pay for it. And you walk out of convention, you got to sell 8 homes to pay for what you just sold up for, and nothing's repeatable. Nothing's going to keep working and working and working that we've ever found. And if it did, we would do it. So it's an expensive proposition. It has tremendous rewards. I'm going to give you one last, I really think, very, very important advice that I've seen. Not advice. I'm going to give you a picture that I saw. And some of us remember 2007. Well, I was in Boca Raton, Florida before that. The market was crazy. There were agents that were rookies making $250,000 a year. They were mailing and they were marketing. And here's what happened. When the market turned, here's what happened, Diane. They were spending, we'll say $10,000 a year marketing, and they made $250,000. Well, now they only made $200,000, so they cut their budget to $8,000. Oh, so now they only made $160,000, so they cut it to $4,000. And literally, you'd watch them in a matter of 12 to 14 months, they'd be completely out of the business, because what they didn't realize from a business point of view is when the market turns, you actually have to spend as much, if not more, and what you are going to make less.
Yeah.
To that side note, when we talk about this market just below luxury, and I know you live, breathe, and sleep that market, everything in the industry it's ups and goes up. There are ups and downs. Yeah. We're on a 12-year run right now, right? It's a good one. When I went to San Diego in 2007, there was a 12-year supply of houses over $2 million. How would you like to take a listing and the average days on market is 12 years?
Wow.
Yeah. So the agents, this is another. So you've seen the one mistake about stop spending. Like Greg Newman is brilliant at when the market goes down, he spends more marketing, right? But the other one is that if you're solely invested in the luxury market and not in that next price point down, when the market turns, the first and the hardest hit is always luxury. It'll recover quicker as well. Like when it recovered in a matter of 2 years. It went from 12 years to 2 years to 90 days, right? But can you sustain 2 to 3 years of zero to no income, or really not enough, clearly, if you don't have this secondary market to keep food on the table, to keep the lights on?
Yeah.
It's why it's called diversity.
Yeah.
Right? Stock market.
And to keep feeding. I mean, I think, you know, and this is just my opinion, 2007 was such an anomaly.
Yep.
Right? That no matter what, though, we have memories. And so the last thing in our memory was this huge anomaly.
Right.
Versus what you're describing would just be, a minor correction that comes back. And how do you get folks to, and I have a theory that 2007 was the biggest anomaly just simply because no one was spending. But by and large, unless it's a deep correction, luxury still sells.
Luxury will absolutely sell. And what you'll see is there are some, so luxury is, if you really want to know how well luxury is going to do, I always say follow the stock market.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of the money is coming from, or maybe not even where it's coming from. So without getting into my worth or net worth or what it is or it isn't, if my net worth is growing and my 401k is growing exponentially, I can look at Sandy, my wife, and go, oh, honey, our account just went up X. You know that second home you've always wanted in Scottsdale? Let's go get it.
Yeah, it's called the wealth effect. The wealth effect, exactly. That's what they called it way back when. For us old folks.
But if my market starts to, if my 401k goes in half, the last thing I'm going to do is buy a second home.
Right. It's an impact.
Yes.
And so I do want to keep talking a little bit about this area just below luxury, because I think it's really a wide open field.
It is, and it's very possible that just below luxury becomes luxury.
Sure. And I live in not where you live. David,
You have no idea where I live.
David lives in
I
San
live in a little
Diego.
shed.
Yeah, David lives in San Diego. And the Institute is in Dallas, Texas. And when you look at markets like Dallas and Nashville and Austin, now Boise, these areas of the country that have suddenly really
Boomed.
jobs, boom. What's really happening there, and why I want to talk about this level below luxury, is that's exactly what happens. The buyers become the people who are luxury, even if the sellers weren't when they moved in.
Yeah.
So there's neighborhoods all over the United States and Canada that when people moved in, they were good neighborhoods.
Yeah, nice.
And now in this boom that we're in, we're seeing these neighborhoods now suddenly meeting a luxury threshold, which means that people coming in
Right.
are a different. They're different. And so when you think about that and how to market, would you then go to the level just below that?
I like that idea a lot.
Just wondering.
Yeah, no, I like that idea a lot. It's so as we get these corrections, for conversations, we're saying we're going to go with 1,800,000 and 600.
Perfect.
The three. So the luxury market at 1 million is correcting. It gets slowed. Days on market go to 6-7 months. 800,000 is still. It went from 2 months to 4 months. 600,000 hasn't moved at all. It's still selling, right?
Yeah.
So if you had your foot in each one, or if you were playing in each arena, you would clearly be much more financially stable as a business. I like it. Here's the other thing that very few people understand. We want to be rock stars, so we want to go luxury. Okay, let's say luxury is 2.5 million, and I'm all that in a bag of chips, and drive up my fancy new car, and I do my open houses in my $2.5 million house. Guess what? That's that homeowner's last home.
Yeah.
That's it. Now, I've sold somebody a $600,000 house. Guess what? I'm going to sell them a $900,000 house. Then I'm going to sell them a $1.4 million house. And then I'm going to sell them the $2.5 million house. Now do the math and add those all up. You're about $6-7 million worth of sales. If you're just at the luxury, 9 times out of 10, that's the last sale you're going to get from that person.
It's interesting, in our course, and I think it's one of the things that I like the most about what we teach. We teach that. We teach don't necessarily only work in one area. And the fact that people need to hear from you at the point where they're looking. So, for example, someone in a young couple in a $600,000 home in Dallas is going to be looking. Mm-hmm. So when you're guiding, and you and your team are consulting, because you're far more of a consultant than you are almost anything else, right? When you're consulting on their strategy, and let's say it's me, and I come to you and I say, this is really what I want to do. I want to be considered an expert across that range.
Got it.
What do you recommend?
I think that it's funny. I just wrote that note down, and I'll share a fun story with you, and then I'll tell you how to do it.
Good.
So it was the agent that I dated.
Yeah.
Got into a competitive situation with one of the listing calls she got on the ocean, and it was with a very well-known agent who did a whole lot of business. I mean, this guy was all that in a bag of chips in the real estate world. And it was a back and forth, and they were like, well, Nancy, you haven't really sold that many houses, and Brian has, and he specializes in the luxury. And it dawned on me, I had a conversation in passing with another agent that Brian had been given all the foreclosures when the foreclosure market came out. I found his foreclosure, his on his website, he made a tactical error that was just crazy. At the bottom of it, he had these $200,000 and $300,000 listings. He was going after $1 million listing and telling him he was $1 million agent. He was and I said, and all we did is we just copied and pasted it and sent it to the homeowner, and they go, "You got the deal."
Yep.
Now, I don't know if that's playing fair or not, but it was business and it's sales. I don't like if we're going 6, 8, and $1 million, that the 6 and the 8, you can market fairly closely together. That's not a big issue, because remember, their concern is, have you ever sold anything in the neighborhood? The $1 million one, which we've defined for this conversation, is luxury, is have you ever sold anything in this price point? I would separate those. Well, we do separate websites for each of the communities. I would go as far as to separate my personal website. so that I have a luxury website with luxury properties. I'd actually even, work with some of my peers to allow them, to feature some of their listings in there. So you can build that portfolio a little bit. And then a different website that features these other two communities. I don't like mixing them like that. And there's no reason you have to. Rich Wolfson does, like I said, $45,000 retirement condos in Boynton Beach. And he does another whole community in South Florida. It's $700,000, which is luxury for that part of South Florida. It's a country club for $700,000. We keep those markets, they're light. They're not even close in proximity. They're probably 30 miles away, but we keep that marketing very separated, very different logos.
That's great. This idea, and I want to come back to this before we finish up for the day, but real estate's it's a hard business.
Oof, brutal.
And being able to find talented, in most businesses, we outsource and we find professionals to help us.
We ask our clients to do that.
Yeah,
Hire us, we're a professional.
Yeah, McKinsey, PricewaterhouseCoopers, all of these kind of behind-the-scenes consulting firms run large businesses today, right? They
Correct.
wouldn't make decisions without them. That's how I view you with real estate professionals. And so, kind of to wrap it up, can you walk us through what your initial consultation is like when you meet someone?
Got it.
How do you learn about them?
So there's two sides I want to address. One will don't let me forget about the research. I'll call it research.
Yep.
We want to make sure, but I want to cover something else, and that is, as you know, I come out of the advertising industry.
Yes.
In the advertising world, there is a hierarchy. There is the conceptual people. Somebody came up with the idea.
Right.
And then somebody said, okay, we're going to go with this color scheme. We're going to use this font. This is going to be our messaging. And it dribbles all the way down through all of these consultants. And then it goes to Pricewaterhouse. And they go, no, we're going to fix it all. Right. And they do. And guess who is the last person to get that job? The graphic designer. And they're told exactly what to do. And guess what? If they don't, they get fired.
Yeah.
Right. But so many times we see agents, it's just amazing that their assistant is their marketing coordinator. I'm like, where's the education? And we don't charge for it. I mean, I've taken more teams that are spending full year salaries on a marketing person that we do for nothing. Like it's just built into the cost of what we do. Right. And it's not, we charge $39 an hour.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's one thing. Okay. So the other side of it is research. And this goes a lot along with the market report and anything that we do. So let's say you're in Dallas and I'm there and we're talking and we're starting a relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start the consultation process with you. The first thing we do is we take a look at your presentation. We look at everything about you. We took at your Facebook, your website, your marketing materials. I'm going to ask you to bring them. You've seen me do this in seminars.
Absolutely.
Bring them all. That's always a fun game because they're always atrocious. Anyway, they're all over the board. It's not that they're bad, but like if you look at two pieces, it's not the same agent. And so the first thing we do is we take that, and then I'm going to give that to, we have 51 employees. And so we have a department called New Design. And their whole job is to take what you do, your look and image and who you are, and create a single brand. I'm going to make a Q-tip out of you. Yeah. Not personally. But you don't need the white hair. Right. But I'm going to make, that's my goal. So while that's going on over here, we have a whole other team that does nothing but research. And so the research team is going to look at Dallas, and I'm going to ask you where you've sold, where you like, what neighborhoods you like. Is there, what age are you? Do you have kids in school that you can leverage? Is it about a school district? I'm 61. It's not about school district. Right. I'm not as far away from the school as possible. Right? I don't want to run over little kids. Anyway, so we look at the neighborhoods, and so you could say, so many times, you can say, David, I want to do Black Forest. This is this beautiful community. It's just gorgeous. The houses are super expensive. And I say to you, well, how many homes sold in there last year? And you're like, well, I don't know. I'm like, well, how many homes are in there? Well, a couple hundred. You don't really know. Is there any agent that has more than 10 or 15% of the market share? Well, yeah, Joey sells everything in there. I'm like, okay, let me get this straight. You don't know how many homes are sold. You don't know how many homes there are. And you're telling me Joey dominates it, and you want to go after it. This is called a bad business decision. Right? So what we do is we literally, when we walk in, if I'm having this consultation, before I even sit with you or one of our consultants, and that's exactly what they're called.
Yes, yes.
They sits with you. Our research team has literally downloaded your entire MLS. It could be 10,000 records easily. And we're going to sit there with you and go, look, here's a community. We see that you've had some activity in here. You haven't, but your company has. So we have sign recognition, right? In these communities, there were 50 sales and no agent has more than 2. That's a gold mine. Nobody's working that community. By the way, 99.9% of the time when an agent says, Joey dominates Black Forest, he absolutely does not. It's a myth that he's created and keeps you out of there. So that's the consulting part. So now we have, okay, we've got a good target, we've got a strategy, we've got a look in which we're going to implement, and then we put together a budget. And my thing is with you is that if you can't afford to do this for a year, I don't want to dump.
Right.
So don't tell me you want to do 10,000 homes.
Yep.
Because if you can do 1,000 and afford 1,000 every single month for a year without worrying about it, now we've got a business relationship. And my job is at the end of that year is to take that 1,000 or whatever it is that you've spent and make it 7 times. So I always say our worst case scenario with a solid agent that can actually get the listing would be 4 to 7 times. In the first year, here's the best part about good marketing. That budget is established, right? So let's say it's $10,000 a year. That's established. You got 7 listings or 4 listings. Say 4. Now you got 10,000. You're going to spend the same 10,000 next year. You're going to get 8. Your momentum is going to start to build, and it's going to get exponential. And in year 3, you should probably get 12. About year 3, you're going to kind of level off. And then I'm going to come back to you as the consultant and go, okay, what'd you do with all that money, Diane? Right? Because you just went from like 2 to 4 to 12. Now you're marketing 1,000 homes. Where's your next 1,000? But here's where I'm really clear. If your lifestyle is fine, and so many times in this industry, we lose it here.
Yeah.
Right? Don't become married to this business. Right? I've seen it for 30 years. I've seen relationships destroyed. I see families and anniversaries missed. If you're at a place where you're comfortable, the agents that I coach personally is like Chrissy. Like she's good.
Yeah.
She's making good money. Right? She's got 3 communities. Could she take down all 16,000 homes? Easy. That's not her lifestyle. So I was like, try and protect your lifestyle. So that's kind of the help me side, the consultant. Yeah, consultant side. Be happy.
Consultants see what you maybe can't.
They should. That's the whole purpose of the consultant is to see exactly what you can't and to think like, as you've learned over the last 2 sessions here, I think very differently than the industry, and I've been inundated with it for 30 years. Yeah.
Well, this has been fantastic and a great learning experience. Can you rattle off your website for the folks listening?
Real Marketing, the number 4 YOU.
That's
for
excellent.
You. Yeah.
Realmarketingforyou.com.
For you. And I have thousands of clients, 51 employees, and that phone number on there is my personal cell phone.
Excellent. Love that. Well, David, thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure as always.
Yeah, Diane, I appreciate it.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye. This content is brought to you in part by Supreme Auctions, the only luxury auction company recommended by the Institute. Supreme Auctions is widely recognized as the first auction company to design a program to work alongside and in partnership with luxury real estate professionals and their clients. Go to supremeauctions.com to learn more.